there has to be a path forward, but there is no path. There's nothing but jungle in front of me, right? Until synergy shows up and cuts this path through the jungle that you can walk on, it really feels like that in some ways, where like, you're dropped in the middle of the Amazon, you have to get out, and you have no map and no machete, and that's just incredibly stressful. There's not good answers that my skill set and knowledge base gave me.
And so when we talked to you versus the other people, you just sounded like this. It was like talking to ourselves. You approach things in a sort of way that made sense to us, in terms of process. And I think the processes and the techniques and all that you brought us have been great. But the single biggest thing that you saw when we reported all this to you, and Matt showed you the numbers and told you the history, was that you need to abandon that thing and do something brand new. I mean, you said that from day one, and that's probably the biggest contribution you guys made, was to lead us away from where we were utterly. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that the execution was good too.
You guys are very clear about what the things that are not going to work, right? The coaching, which you guys are pretty smooth about for the owners, right? Which doesn't show up anywhere on the balance on the list of services, but it's there, right? And that begins kind of from the first time we spoke to you, and that felt really different from the way these other calls were described, right? Like this is a collaborative thing, right? And we went from knowing almost nothing about what we were going to do, right? Having ideas, right, that you talk about over the holiday break, to eating 30 different, and I exaggerate a little bit, but we went to a lot of restaurants, all different concepts, all different sorts of things. And at that point, it wasn't really set. We knew we were going to have a barbecue component, and we knew we were going to have a Mexican component. Like we kind of settled on that, which I was still, to be honest, Ian, and I tried not to show it during that period, but I was still very skeptical of, for a variety of reasons, owing mostly to myself and being no fault of yours, right? And then we get in the meeting, we spend all day, right, working through this concept, right? And it's really interesting to think back on it now and think of the things that survived but one of the lessons for me through this, and Dean, you and I have laughed about this on our calls, is of the 4 or 5 items on that menu that I was dubious about or didn't understand how they would work, like 3 of them are some of our top sellers now. People are really pleased with the food, the menu, and the service. We've gotten pretty much universal compliments from our guests, and we're still getting busier every day, and the people love it. I never get tired of walking around to the tables because I know they're going to be happy.
Alan, if a restaurant operator today considering if they were considering hiring Synergy, what would you say to them?
Do it. You will not be sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do it. Hire them. And if you're curious about their approach, listen to those podcasts. When I first met them, Dean sent me that before we got started, and it gave me a real insight into how they work. And it's do it. You will get a shot. If Dean tells you got a shot, you're going to get one. So take advantage of it.